My name is Tommy Lusignan, and for my Survival in the Contemporary World project, I am doing how to change a radiator on a 2015 GMC 3500 Denali Duramax turbo diesel truck. And sadly, I forgot to video or take pictures of the whole process, so instead I'm going to summarize the whole thing and point to all the parts necessary to change your radiator. First step, you need to remove your fender liners. This covers the inner fender wells, which keeps mud out of your engine bay. As you can see, there's a lot going on here because General Motors decided that they wanted their trucks to be very complicated to fix. As you can see back there, that little plastic piece is connected to the edge of your radiator. I will attach a photo to the document when I submit it of the blown up radiator. What broke is this plastic piece. I let the truck sit too long in the yard, and what happened was rust built up inside of it, clogged the radiator fins, and then inside of this plastic piece, it got too hot and then it cracked at the bottom, which led to leaking of coolant all over the Rings End parking lot in Wilton. Not great, but you know, shit happens. So basically, once you've got your fender liners out on both sides, you're going to take off this metal bracket. This metal bracket does nothing other than support your core support to this random metal piece that holds up your intake. This is an intercooler pipe. That's what feeds your turbocharger. This is a coolant hose. This is the lower coolant hose to your radiator. You need to disconnect this. How you disconnect this is there is a snap ring right here. You have to pop the first side off, and then you have to pull it around. It'll come off, and then you just slide it right off. There is an upper coolant hose as well. It is located on your driver's side in the engine bay. This is a locking clamp. Once you have pinched this locking clamp, it will stay open. You can slide this back and then pull this hose off. This is a transmission control module. You need to remove this in order to change your radiator. This is a cowl. You also need to remove this to access the radiator. The radiator is located right around here. There are 4 bolts that hold your radiator in. One here, one that you have to get within the fender well of your passenger side right here, another one in the top part of the engine bay right down there, and another one in the fender well on your passenger side right there. After you have taken those bolts out, you have to take your air intake out. This is your air intake. You have 2 sensors. Both are MAF sensors, mass airflow sensors. This tells the computer of the truck how much air is flowing through it. This is necessary. If you do not plug these back in after you're done, your truck will not run. So basically you have to take this band clamp off, this band clamp off, these 2 band clamps off, this band clamp off, and then this is the air intake box. There are 3 screws holding it in. One right there, another one down there, and another one that might be hard to see, but it's directly right there. And once you've got those out, this whole assembly comes out. These plastic clips, you have to pop these clips off. Let's see if I can get it. And you pull them right off. It might not be that easy. Easier said than done, but yeah, whatever. You get the gist of it. Pull these little plastic tabs off, and then it should come right off. Next step. This is a 2015 LML, so it has a fan shroud that is one piece the whole way around, meaning that this black plastic piece goes all the way around the fan. So in order to get it out, you have to remove the fan. That is a pain in the ass. So instead of doing that, I decided that it would be a good idea to take these plastic clips out and then take straps and put it to each corner of this fan shroud piece of plastic. I attached it to the hinges of the hood. I pulled it back, and once I did that, I had access to my radiator. once I had access to my radiator, it was as simple as literally pulling it up and out. I mean, it really wasn't too complicated. It just took a little finessing. Once you got your old radiator out and you've definitely determined that that radiator is broken, you have to order a new radiator. I got mine from Duramax store. It was $600, which is a lot cheaper than going to a mechanic. I would do the same if I was you, because mechanics will charge you an arm and a leg, especially on these diesel trucks, because they're very complicated. But after you've got your radiator installed, oh, I forgot one thing. These lines, that's a transmission cooler line. It runs the transmission fluid through on your passenger side through this plastic basin on the side of your radiator. You need to make sure that you do not lose the little, so there's these little plastic cover rings, and then you have more snap rings like I mentioned earlier, like down here, but they're much smaller. And once you get them off, it just takes a little finessing. You have to pull these out and just, preen them back, make sure that they're just out of the way so that you can slide your radiator in easy. And then once you got them back in, just make sure that they're fully seated in there, because sometimes if you put them half in there and you put that plastic clip back on, they're not actually fully in there and they can pop back off. And if that pops back off, $6,000 transmission is not the easiest thing to replace. I mean, you're going to have to get under the truck, probably get it on a lift, and it's going to be a lot more work than it's worth. There's your transmission oil pan down there. I took the grill off, which was not necessary because I didn't know what I was doing to begin with. I was just kind of winging it. No need to take the grill off. No need to take your fenders off either. And then as soon as you get your radiator back in, you just have to assemble everything in reverse order of how I mentioned it. And basically, we ran to AutoZone. You have to make sure it's the orange coolant for General Motors vehicles. Coolant, they sell it in two different formats. They sell it in a concentrate and they sell it in pre-diluted. If you get it in the concentrate, you have to make sure that it's distilled water that you mix it with, because if it's not distilled water, you will get rust in the system. If you get rust in the system, your radiator will blow up. These tanks are dual tanks, meaning that there's different basins. As you can see, this looks full on this side, and then this opposing side does not look very full. That is why the minimum fill line looks like it's, almost at the top. It's an optical illusion. Don't let it trick you. When you're taking this off, do not take it off when it's hot. It has 10 pounds of air in the system. If you take this off when it's hot, it might back flush on you, blow up in your face, burn your face, and you will have to go to the hospital. Not a fun thing to do. So be careful, people. Another thing, the alternator. When my radiator blew up in the Rings End parking lot that I managed to get to, it got covered in coolant, because as soon as the radiator blew up, it hit the fan and it sprayed it all over the engine bay, all over the belt, which made everything squeak. It still squeaks, pain in the ass, but whatever. And the alternator got covered in coolant. I just let it jump for longer, which just gave the alternator a little boost, and it burned the coolant right out of it, luckily. I blew this alternator up midsummer in New York somewhere, going to see my grandparents. And that was a pain in the butt to replace, because there's a belt tensioner pulley down there. I don't know if you can see it, that you have to loosen the tension, remove the belt, and then it's I think it's 3 bolts to get it off. But I broke this little plastic vane right here. That's your fan shroud cover. Not your fan shroud cover, your fan cover assembly. And it's not that big of a deal that it's broken, but still bothers me. And basically, as soon as you've done all that, got your coolant in there, made sure everything's how it's supposed to look, put your transmission control module back, which I actually forgot to do before I drove it. Thank God it wasn't touching anything that wasn't too hot or moving when I drove it, because that could have ended very poorly. But I made sure I put that back now. And make sure you put your covers back on your batteries after you've jumped it. Make sure that your parking brake's not on, of course, when you go to drive it again. And after you filled it with coolant, take it for a drive. The whole system's gonna heat up. Your coolant level's gonna drop. As you can see, I haven't filled it with coolant again, so it's below the minimum line. I'm gonna fill it back up again tomorrow morning after it cools off. It'll probably drop to down about here, and then I gotta fill it again. It'll probably drop another time. The day after that, I drive it again, and then I gotta fill it again, and then after that, it'll probably be good. And then you have a fully functional pickup truck that you can use to survive in the contemporary world. Thank you, and goodbye.